Hey everyone, we're not in the normal Tin Talk studio. We're at the Dodson's house, Eugene, Oregon.
You remember it
If you
from
know,
last
you
year.
know. The best place in the world. Thank you to Dodson's. They always let us use their space for this weekend. And yeah, what's this weekend, guys?
It's U.S. champs.
Oh! Got it! Are you kidding me? Perfect.
All right,
How are we feeling? Let's talk about a little bit about our season so far, and then what we're thinking about this weekend. So, Brian, you want to get us started?
Yeah, I feel like my season, it feels like a mixed bag. Like I know that everything is kind of, it's trended in the right direction, but I think that like coming off of LA, I was really hoping to do something big at Portland, and I think just the quick turnaround and feeling pretty flat left me leaving Portland with a kind of sour taste in my mouth, and that was not really the place that I wanted to be going into like that was my last race before U.S. Championships. So there was a little bit of work that I needed to do there, and I think that Joey and I have talked about this elsewhere, but like really having this feeling of like coming together, and then we kind of talked about this the other night. But that has really helped me dial in and nail all of the training. Like I feel like my last 6 weeks of training have been just top tier, and I think a lot of that is due in part to the way that we've come together. So though my racing has like ended in a sour note in my mind, I kind of have just been trying to like brush that off and focus on the training and what I've been able to do and how that no one race defines the season. And I think that overall, like I'm in a really good place going into this U.S. Championships, and it's no longer just about making the final. Like for me, it really is about trying to make a team. And with this year being a year where there's two teams to make, possibly either the World Championship team or the Pan Am team, like I think that that's a pretty doable thing for me, and I'm feeling pretty good going into that.
Yeah, I think you did touch on it a little bit, but I think something that, Portland race-wise, you didn't go well, but we, as a team, I felt like actually connected and
Right.
felt like, we were a unit at that meet. And, I know me and you personally, we got to actually sit down and talk about the vision that we have for the team, but also for each other. And it was cool to kind of hear you say, like, I want to run with conviction, and I want to, make a U.S. team this year. It's not about like you just mentioned, like, okay, I've made the final last few years. I've been like a good steeplechaser, but I want to break into that, that greatness and that next level. So that was really cool for me to hear. But yeah, I think, what about you, Joey? How do you feel like, because you obviously, I think it was kind of a little different. Your season started maybe a little bit slower than you wanted, but then you ran one of the best races you've had in a long time at LA.
Yeah, I think just going into the season, I mean, I texted Brian when I was lifting at like 24, sometime in like March or April, right? I said,
early.
yeah, where we just kind of like mutually agreed to like set the tone of, hey, we're going to take these next couple of months and like be super intentional with every single workout, every single hurdle ritual, every single weight session, with the idea that we should be at the very least getting to qualify for a Pan Am team. And we told ourselves like top 6 is probably going to be the best shot for that. I don't know like how far they're going to go down the list beyond that, or how many people are going to deny it past that. So pretty much in my mind this whole time, it's like, beat as many people as you can in the final, and try and get top 6. And I think from like the training has been like just spot on since really like last November, like when we really started getting into it after 5K champs. I feel like my build up for cross country and for a 10K were pretty good. The results weren't necessarily there, like you said, especially early on. I feel like in terms of the steeplechase, I had two out of 3 really good races. Penn Relays was a bit of a shit show in terms of the weather and conditions, and I just went out there and raced, and that was great. I got second, and then I went in with a full head of steam, like super cocky, big ego, going into that first LA race, and I got my ass kicked, and that kind of brought me back to center for, all right, like you don't have to set the world on fire, like you just got to get the job done that you need to get done. And I think that's really set me up well going this meet, kind of bringing myself back. Like Brian said, we had an incredible 6 weeks of training, where in my mind, like that goes to like, well, shit, maybe I can like make it like a world team off of that. Like this training's been impeccable, like haven't missed. It's far and beyond better than anything I've ever done. But I do have to keep grounding myself. As like remind yourself that like top 6 is the goal, beat as many people as you can as the goal. Like, you have to remind yourself, like, it's not going to be easy, and there might be a day when, like, all of that doesn't work out, but there is going to be, like, a day that you could get top 6, you know, where, like, you could really fight for it. And I think just going in with that mindset has been the biggest thing, where it's like, let's beat as many people as we can and see what we can do, instead of, you know, that's our idea of dreaming big at this point. So that's just kind of how I'm approaching it.
Yeah. How, you know, you guys have done so much training together. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you know, not that just this year, but the last few years. I look at both of you, and I'd love just both your guys' takes on this. I look at you guys so differently. Like, Brian, you know, the last few years, like, you would, you know, be a little bit more timid, take off a rep in training, but then you'd show up to races and be the top guy on our team. Mm-hmm. And Joey, you've always just stuck your nose in it. And this year, you've now seen that kind of breakthrough of that steeple. But, like, how do you guys feel like you work together, you know, knowing your strengths and weaknesses in training? And how do you feel like you guys help each other? And how are you going to, you know, have that together in the prelims and also the final?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. This is actually something that we've touched on in conversations that we've had with each other, is like this recognition of Joey kind of bringing this, like, okay, I know what needs to be done, I'm just going to go and do it. Mm-hmm. And then me kind of having this, like, building this bridge into uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I've kind of used this framework when chatting about this with you as well. And it's kind of like, I know that Joey is going to do what needs to be done. And I just need to get in there and, like, give myself a shot at, like, being near him towards the end of workouts, just to get that confidence of, like, okay, like, if I'm here with Joey, I know I'm crushing because Joey crushes. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of like on the flip side of things, like, I bring a certain like level-headedness, making sure that we're doing things with an eye to the future. So we kind of balance each other out in this really beautiful way. And it's been really powerful because we've started talking to each other about, like, okay, how do we hold each other accountable in reps? Like, what is it that we need to hear from each other? Like, the person that's in the trenches with me doing this, like, what do we need to hear? What is it that's going to make us get not just this rep, but this like week, this training block, this whole build, all the way to the races that are really important to us. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's been really cool, especially to have, like, different people, like, fit into that, like yourself included, like, just having that like kick of speed at the end where it's like, all right, well, you know, like, Drew right now is our Isaac Updike. Like, let's go. We gotta tailor this with the intentionality of what we're gonna need to do on the day.
Yeah, I mean, really it is, like, exactly what Brian said. Like, we both have brought exactly what the other person needs to the table in terms of these workouts. For me, I really needed, like, a mental component of, you know, there are days when it is going to be hard and you're going to need somebody to pull you through, and you can rely on that person to pull you through. Like, I felt like I've been kind of, like, low-key, I go into workouts, you know, since my junior year of college, kind of like in my own headspace where it's like, I just got to get what I need to get done. And I haven't, like, necessarily, like, allowed myself to rely on others to get the job done. You know, it's felt like a very, not like selfish pursuit, but it feels like sometimes like I'm, like, very alone out there. Like, you know, they're going to do it without me, regardless of whether I'm here or not. So I have to, like, be in that framework that, like, I have to get it done myself as well. And, like, I can't really, like, depend on people. And if I need to take this rep, I got to take this rep. But Brian, like, you know, in the past couple of months has really been that, like, shoulder for me to lean on, or that, you know, that tugboat of sorts when I'm having a bad day. For example, the mile time trial, where it's like, oh shit, like, I do not feel good. And it's like, he just somehow, like, instinctively just, like, steps up in those scenarios. And that's been super important for me, because that's, you know, I told him this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, you know, in terms of the steeplechase, I finally feel like I have, like, a teammate to work with. Like I said before, it felt like I've been very alone out there, just kind of doing my own thing, trying to run my own race, and I've had, you know, really nobody to feed off of for my own, you know, for my own faults. You know, like, I really should have, like, relied on my teammates in the past, but it just, like, I haven't been able to, like, flip that switch for some reason. And now going into this race, I know I can, like, quite literally see Brian in the race and be like, I'm working with that guy. Like, that guy's my teammate. We're going to go get this done together. So it doesn't feel so alone out there anymore, which has been fantastic, you know. And like Brian said, like, he's struggled in the past with, like, bridging the gap mentally in terms of how do I get from rep 4 to rep 16 of 16 by 400, you know. Like, there's a certain part in there that's going to seem like a gap that, like, can't be jumped, or, you know, that can't be crossed. And I feel like I've been able to help him out in those scenarios where like you said, I go into workouts sometimes thinking I'm indestructible and I can just get it done, and because that's what I feel like I have to do. So I mean, we're going into this race like just really willing to rely on each other, and you know how announcers always say, "Oh, they're teammates. It's just like practice." Like I've never truly resonated with that, like until like the past 6 weeks. Like obviously we've had great races, like that mile in LA last year was incredible. Like I had such a fun time. But it really did feel like I was just hanging on for dear life with you guys, that you guys were the protagonists and I was going to be the guy that could like maybe like come up from behind and kind of make the trifecta like look a little bit cooler. But now with me and Brian, it's like we're the fucking protagonists and like we want to get after it. So
that's awesome. It's been cool to like, I feel like I'm a little bit lucky. Like Joan will occasionally put me with you guys, and it's nice because I do feel like you guys are a cohesive unit on our team right now, and it's been fun to like, I get my little Brian and Joey workout in, and it's like I feel like it is always like a very intentional, just cohesive, like, and also just fun. Like I feel like every rep, we're kind of like, hey, good job. Like, it's just fun to be a part of that. Yeah. But I do want to wrap up. It's Sunday morning this week after your race. What do you walk away with? What is a good result? What is okay? I'm happy. What is I'm like what's the job done?
Yeah, I think for me, I struggle because and this is one of those things that like sometimes I give myself too long a leash, sometimes I give myself too short a leash, right? Where it's like I have these goals that I want to accomplish, but I like to give myself things that are like manageable to me, and so I think about things that like I can actually have an impact on mid-race, right? So it's like, to me, a good race is going to be one where I really bet on myself and I take a chance and see if I can't make it work. Like to actually tether it to a specific goal and a measurable goal, like top 6. If I don't come away with the top 6, like I don't know if I'm going to be exactly stoked about the race. Like even if I run incredibly quickly.
Okay.
What do you? Just going to you, like in terms of like how you're built up and everything, like I want to be able to hear what you think about going into this weekend and what would be a great result and maybe what would not be such a great result for you.
I think I just want to run a race that I don't regret. Like I think I don't really care about how the result is at the end of the day. Like I just want to finish that race and be able to look at like you guys and like our coaches and everyone and be like, I don't feel like I could have finished any higher. And obviously, like, I want to make a world team. Like, I think every guy in the 1500 final thinks he can make a world team. I truly believe that. Like, we saw last year, like, a 51-second last lap. Like, it's all about being in the right spot. And, like, it really is kind of a coin flip. So I just want to have that be a coin flip that I don't regret. And so for me, that's, like, kind of all I'm visualizing is, like, okay, like, take the prelim super seriously. Like, it's a very loaded year this year. I think for both of our races, like, the U.S. is really good at running, so I don't want to finish the race and be like, I wish I could rerun that. And that doesn't mean winning. That doesn't mean even necessarily a top 3 finish. If I think my best day is getting 8th place and I felt like I gave everything and the guys just all outclassed me, like, that's okay. That's what makes this sport exciting.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Brian, for kind of front, but like as someone who's like actually made a team, like back in 2019 in the 5K, like what do you think that like defining characteristic of, other than like just fitness, what do you think the defining characteristic of making that team was, if you had to choose one thing?
Oh, believe me, you can do it before you do it. Yeah, 100%. That's it. Like, I mean, like 2019 when I did make the team, like I got on that starting line and I was just like, oh, like I'm going to do this today, and I think it's funny. I feel like I've been struggling this year of like, I've been so healthy in terms of like, I had a great fall. I had, a great build up. But I get on the starting line and I kind of go, I haven't been a risk taker in practice this year. I haven't really pushed everything in practice. Like, can I be that protagonist, as you guys kind of mentioned, in the races? And I think like today, even doing the pre-meet, I was like, well, even if I can't, I should try. And I think that's what I'm going to do this weekend is like even in the prelim, just running like I belong in the final, and that should lead me to the final.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing, running like I belong on a world team, and like I said, I can't regret anything after that. So that's all I really want to do this weekend is run that way, and also just have fun.
Right.
Like I have so much fun with you guys here, and then I think I get to the track sometimes, and I'm like, oh, this is serious, and like, you know, I kind of like, I get so nervous and kind of like in my head that I'm like, wait a second, like, this is so fun that we get to all do this together. And we're not going to get to do this together forever. So like, I also think, you know, finishing the race, not regretting it, but also being like, I had a great time. Like even yesterday when we were all grilling out with everyone, like that was so fun. Like I didn't even feel like I was at a race weekend.
Right.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
and I really want to carry that over to the track tomorrow. Like just be excited and like grateful that I'm here. So.
For sure. I think it's especially powerful coming from the position that you're in, right? With all of the recent life changes that have happened for you, and like all of the stresses that accompany being a new dad. It's like that piece of gratitude becomes so much more powerful.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like if there's one thing that I've really been trying to embody in this past 6 weeks is like really holding each other accountable to what it is that we're trying to do here, and like empowering each other.
Yeah.
And that's like that strength that I've seen from you over the past, past couple of months, where you've just been able to nail all of this training. Like you should feel comfortable going on the line, feeling like, all right, I'm a guy who's going to make the final. All right, I'm a guy who's going to make the world team. And like that gratitude piece is going to be something that just allows you to breathe a little bit easier and free you up to perform in the way we all know you can.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm just, like I said, I'm like, I really am so excited to be here with, with you guys. Like it's just already been such a yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, why, like, we just run that way, it all takes care of itself. Right, yeah. So, but yeah, I think that should be that's all kind of all we want to talk about. Thanks guys for listening, and
appreciate you.
Yep, see you next time.
Oh wow, short time.